prosecutions under President Trump, either in his first term or this term, have there been for violations of this practice, birth tourism?
That's an excellent question, Senator. A couple of things have happened. One, there has been prosecution of some birth tourism companies.
How many?
I'm not sure of the number, sir.
I'm not sure of many numbers before us. You get some big claims, but when it comes to numbers, you ought to be able to tell us how many would prosecute.
The initial
That's
number
a good debate. That's a good debate.
Chinese birth tourism comes from Chinese sources. What they believe it is on their side.
I'm asking you what the Republican administration of Donald Trump in his first term or this term have prosecuted under this existing law that you say is creating 1.5 million Chinese Americans, American Chinese, however. How many?
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, during the Trump administration, they have now instructed Customs and Border Patrol, if somebody does appear to be pregnant, to set them aside for further questioning.
They have now done it to suggest they did nothing before. Add them to the category of presidents who didn't pay attention to the law?
They did it during the first term, and they also...
How many?
I'm not sure, sir.
Well, I wish you would be sure. You're making some pretty wild claims here about 1 million Chinese who are going to vote absentee in the next election or do something that may be suspicious. You ought to come back to us with some data that backs that up. Professor Frost, is this all being enforced?
United States Park Police.
So I FOIA'd the Trump administration to try to get information about whether they were enforcing this law, and it's been over a year. I've appealed. I've gotten no response. Mr. Schweitzer, I would love help getting information. This administration has not shared whether it's enforcing this regulation.
Isn't that interesting? The premise of this hearing is the Chinese are invading America through surrogates and birth tourism. And it's something we should all be concerned with. And yet they won't tell us what this administration is doing to stop it with the existing law. Something's missing here.
Damn right.
Agreed.
Let me ask you, when it comes down to the situation where families, if this executive order is found to be valid by the court, how would a family go about establishing that they were properly in the United States and citizens under the new executive order?
So we have a couple of pages of memos from the Social Security Administration, the Department of State, USCIS that they issued this summer if the executive order goes into effect. They're vague. They're just a couple of pages each. They say every family must provide, quote, acceptable evidence, unquote, of their own citizenship or immigration status at the time of the child's birth. And if they can't do that, the child isn't a citizen.
How do they prove
Q&A between Illinois Democrat Dick Durbin and University of Virginia law professor?
That's crazy.
What kind of documentation? Clearly it's not the birth certificate.
Yeah,
What is documentation to prove?
Yes, you'd have to go.
Are you listening to this crap?
Generations, because if your great-grandparent came in without permission or was temporarily visiting when the child was born, your grandparent was born, then that would put into question your citizenship according to the Trump administration's reading of the citizenship clause, which of course I think is wrong.
This is part of the Steve Miller plan to save America in his eyes. And I think of the SAVE Act in the same category. That we have to prove now before we can vote that we're citizens. And there are only two ways to prove it. Basically, a passport, which half of Americans don't own, or a birth certificate, which many women will find their maiden name on, that doesn't square with both of the name they're using for registration today.
What up?
Why is this administration, this is a rhetorical question.
Hey, Patrick.
I'm trying to wonder why this administration is so damn determined to question whether people are here legally. We want people to be here legally. Or whether they're trying to diminish the...
Am I a Democrat?
I
don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Durbin.
I don't know. I mean, I just believe in the human rights.
Senator, maybe you and I can work together.
I believe everyone are equally. Just because you're rich, it doesn't mean you're better than us.
Thank you so much. And I agree
I don't believe in
These
that.
laws do need to be enforced.
Does that make me a Democrat or a Republican?
In order to protect one person, one vote. I am so pleased.
It was just that I turned on the radio and these came up. And as I'm listening, it's full of crap.
The Ban Birth Tourism Act, and that would indeed amend the Immigration and Nationality Act to clarify that birth tourism is not permissible.
And I'm running out of fuel.
I help Professor Frost. This would apply to people that are here illegally, or
are you a Democrat?
That are coming on a temporary tourist
McKinley.
visa. So this here's clarification on that point.
Are you independent?
What we do know is this. and these are not Marcia's numbers. These are numbers that are coming to us on reviews by different agencies. We've got about
Excuse me?
33,000 individuals that are exploiting our immigration.
Okay. I
And
respect.
trying to circumvent the system
respect.
when it comes to birthright citizenship. And we also know this. This isn't
But you're
something
listening
that
to
is
what they're saying, right?
accidental. This is something that really is quite intentional. And we are seeing the advertising of this
And
in
look at this
Russia
mad
and
traffic.
in China. People that are our adversaries that want to get in, want to have a child that is a citizen, want to have that social security number. They are here for a period of time. They go back. These companies ought to be illegal. As a veteran told me last week, our citizenship has never been and should not ever be addressed in this manner with people trying to game the
You too?
system. So
What's up,
I
Ella?
want to give you a moment to talk about the
Hi.
importance of being explicit in our rule of law about not having birth tourism.
Senator, I think your legislation is a fantastic idea, and I think the reality is that the birth tourism industry essentially rests on the need to engage in visa fraud. These companies all instruct Chinese women who want to do this in the United States that when you come to the United States,
there's no
rely
one.
on your
There's
visa.
no one in
Do
the
not
backseat.
say you're coming for a medical
And
procedure.
I think that's important to note
Ain't no
right
one.
there.
Unless
They
you're
are
seeing a ghost.
instructed how to game the
Shoot.
system and how to lie.
About to take off
as they
running.
fill out the form. And it is
I
the
play no
Chinese
game when it
companies
comes to Ghost. Hell no.
Yes, that's right, and it's members of the
Hell
elite
no.
who are primarily doing this. And then you also have the reality that when they come to the United States, many of them are instructed by the birth tourism firms to tell the local hospitals, California, wherever they're going to have it done, that they're destitute, even though they're members of the Chinese elite. So many of them, this is well documented, pay $6,000 for a procedure that really, in fact, costs the hospital $40,000. So there's
Government Accountability Institute President Peter Schweitzer.
a financial cost to this as well. So this is an industry that's predicated on gaming the system and lying about legal status.
Well, I agree with you on that. Mr.
Oh,
Cooper, let me come to
you
you.
bugging,
I'm
boy.
pleased that you are here
bugging,
with us, and
hell
I know
no.
that you led an amicus brief for Senator Schmidt.
Only
and
thing you're gonna
Congressman
be
Roy.
introduced to is my
And
card.
we've
That's it.
had, other Senator Cruz and Congressman
This is
Jordan
my
have
card.
done some talking about the citizenship.
It's me, myself, and I.
14th Amendment. So talk about the rationale and the legal foundation used to arrive at
Yeah.
the conclusions we see about the importance of upholding the original
So
intent
this is my friend,
of the citizenship clause.
and it could be your friend too.
Thank you. As I've outlined,
Fuck. Look at that fucking traffic. Holy shoot.
of the Section 1 of the 14th Amendment,
Charles Cooper, the chair and founding partner of Cooper and Kirk.
and the link directly with the meaning of the Civil Rights Act of 1866.
Shit. Shit
And
sucks.
the proposition there that only the children of individuals who are not subject to a foreign power are entitled to birthright citizenship. It was clearly, as the leading authors and supporters of the Citizenship Clause made clear in the debates, that they did not intend to change that meaning. In fact, they intended to preserve that meaning, but even though they used different words, subject to the jurisdiction
Y'all
thereof.
making videos together?
And
Yeah. If we are. If you look at my videos, mostly it'll be in this car, sometimes my other one, and really rare on the Beamer.
Not a temporary or local jurisdiction like a
By the way, my little car said hi. My little friend.
but the complete and total jurisdiction, meaning as the Supreme Court in the Elk against Wilkins case, so, which is the most directly relevant
You're funny, boy.
precedent on this, that the individual must owe an immediate and direct
And I'm running out of
allegiance
gas.
to the United States. That is not something that illegal aliens sojourners, as they were called, from foreign countries.
Thank you.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me begin by quoting the Constitution. The 14th Amendment to the United States in the Constitution is pretty straightforward. Citizenship is granted to, quote, all
Damn.
persons born or naturalized in the United States.
Oh God. Usually takes me 30 minutes to get home from here. Right now it says an hour 8 minutes.
If you were born on American soil, you're
You
an
believe
American
it?
citizen.
More from this Senate Judiciary Subcommittee hearing coming up.
AP News.
What's up, pal?
Gas prices keep going.
It's Gucci.
Secretary Caroline Leavitt is telling Americans not to worry.
Rest assured to the American people, the
What?
recent increase in oil and gas prices is temporary, and this operation will result in lower gas prices in the long term.
By when?
Once the national security objectives of Operation Epic Fury are fully achieved, Americans will see oil and gas prices drop rapidly, potentially even lower than they were prior to the start of the operation.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said today we'll see the most intense strikes on Iran yet. The Pentagon says about 140 U.S. service members have been wounded in the 10 days of the conflict with Iran.
I think that's bullshit.
7 soldiers have died. Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal in the Senate says the administration doesn't seem to have an end game.
The president says that it's nearly complete, but the Department of Defense says that it's just begun. And the president, almost in a single breath, says it's almost done, and at the same time, it's just begun.
What do people think?
The latest surveys suggest more Americans opposed the Iran war than support it. A Quinnipiac poll conducted over the weekend finds 53% of those surveyed oppose the military action, while around 40% support it, similar to snap polls by the Washington Post and CNN. Respondents to a Fox News poll were more evenly divided. 70% of voters are concerned that the war will cause the price of oil and gas to rise. Only 30%
No shit.
think the war will make the U.S. safer. Respondents are evenly divided along party lines, with more Republicans largely supporting President Trump's plans, but a majority, including Republicans, still oppose sending ground troops into Iran. I'm Jennifer King.
The mayor of Baltimore says a police officer was shot while responding to a barricade situation. Police separately said a suspect was also shot. This is AP News.
This is C-SPAN Radio WCSP FM Washington. Back to the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee.
Okay.
Full stop.
Let's hear them out. Let's hear them out.
I know there's a question before the Supreme Court, and I'll get to a question about that in a minute. I want to begin by thanking my constituent, Mr. Barranco, once again for your service, for your bravery, not just in service. You're a veteran now, but I know the last many months have been trying for you and for your family, but you have not been deterred. You've continued to be vocal and strong.
California Democrat Alex Padilla.
And this is not your first time testifying in the U.S. Capitol, so I thank you for that as well. And I congratulate you and your family on the dismissal of your father's deportation case. The ability to pursue a green card is the least that we can be doing for you and your family, given what you have been through.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
And repeat, you've been so eloquent in previous hearings and your opening statement here today about what this has meant, not just for your father, but for you.
You too, man.
And your brothers as well.
You too. Be safe.
My
It's
question
crazy
is
out
for
there.
my colleagues here in the Senate, both sides of the aisle. Think about the message that this is sending. When Mr. Barranco and his brothers chose to enlist and went to enlist, the United States government, the United States Marine Corps, was more than willing to say, yes, thank you, welcome, we can use you, we will train you, we will educate you, we will deploy you at risk. Mr. Barranco's been honorably discharged. He's a veteran. But when it comes to how this...
Sorry, I'm back.
66 in the nation in 1860.
Sorry, I'm back.
66 in the nation in 1868 added this provision.
I am back.
Overturned
I'm
Dred
sorry.
Scott. And the stain of that decision, as it had sullied our Constitution, And during those debates, they made clear that the citizenship clause applied to everyone born on U.S. soil. The only exceptions discussed were the narrow common law exceptions for children of ambassadors and Native Americans, which they added in light of the unique American tradition of Native sovereignty. And then I would point out to the Supreme Court, in addition to that language, in addition to what that Reconstruction Congress told us and what the nation understood at the time, that its own precedent from 1898 established clearly that Wong Kim Ark, born in the United States, and everyone else born in the United States, whether here, quote, for business or pleasure, end quote, whether just passing through, and that's also a quote, is a citizen of the United States. And then this very court, if I'm making this argument before the justices, I'd point out they repeated that in decisions in the 1950s, in the 1960s, and the 1980s. And that's why every lower federal court to address this issue has rejected the Trump administration's executive order as unconstitutional, including a number of judges who were nominated by Republican presidents.
University of Virginia Law Professor and Immigration Director at the Migration and Human Rights Program, Diane Frost.
Thank you very much. Senator Corona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
My colleague to my left read the
hear 'em
provision
out.
of the 14th Amendment that says very clearly all persons born in the U.S. So that is very clear, all persons born in the U.S. But then there's the second part, and subject to the jurisdiction, etc. So I do want to get clarification from you, Professor Frost. All of a sudden, the opponents of the plain language of the 14th Amendment suddenly wants to read into the 14th Amendment complete, subject to the complete jurisdiction. Is that a necessary reading of the 14th Amendment?
Those who are looking to rewrite the 14th Amendment often have to literally do that. They have to add the word allegiance, which is not in there. They have to add the word domicile, that is not in there. They have to add the word complete before jurisdiction, which is not in there. The term jurisdiction was clear in 1865. Merriam-Webster's dictionary said it means under the authority of the government. That's a quote from that dictionary. And when they discussed the exceptions, such as for Native Americans, they made the point that Native American tribes were not, quote, subject to U.S. law. So that was why they accepted them. That, of course, is not logic that would apply to any other non-citizen or their child.
So I don't think,
Asking questions here, White Democrat Macy Corona.
frankly, I don't think the court should be asked to read in
I only
language
got a
that
few.
doesn't even exist.
Shit.
I would say the plain meaning of subject to jurisdiction. I mean, but certainly nothing is plain to people who are trying to make